Hello South Shore, welcome back to 3rd grade online with Miss Nazaripour. Today I have a reading lesson for you. We're going to be picking up where we left off when we left school and reviewing text features and how they can help us read nonfiction text and make more sense. First we're going to review the text features. After that I have a reading piece that will do all about jumping rope, and then I have some comprehension questions for you. So what you'll need for this activity is your journal if you have it. If not, any piece of paper to write on will do, and a pencil. Go grab your stuff, come on back, and let's get started reading. Okay, 3rd graders, today we're going to remind ourselves about the informational text features that you've learned about in the 3rd grade and maybe some new ones. So text features help the reader to gain more information about the topic of the text and about how the text is laid out. In other words, text features help an author better organize a text and make it more understandable. They get our minds ready to read and to learn. And Miss Lulu is very ready to read and learn. So let's talk about the first text feature you may have learned about in the 3rd grade, and probably even before. Pictures and illustrations. An author may add an image that matches the text to help us visualize. The image might be like this one on the front cover, or it might be inside the text. It may be photographs, or it may be illustrations. The second text feature to learn about is captions. Captions are words underneath or beside an illustration or photograph that explain what the photograph is about. So if you take a look here, the caption of this illustration is right underneath here where the green arrow is pointing. So if you take a look, you can see maybe that that's a turtle. And the text feature says that this tortoise moves slowly across the grass. It enjoys sitting in the shade and eating leafy plants. Another text feature that you may have learned about is special print. There are a couple different kinds of special print. Special print is a special kind of print that makes important words stand out. It includes italics and bold-faced words. So if you take a look here, these words on tricks for there, do you see how these words are just a tiny bit slanted? That's what italics means, a tiny bit slanted. And then there's also bold-faced words where some words are darker than others. The one that's not listed on this slide is highlighted. Sometimes an author will highlight important words. Okay, the next kind of text feature that you may have learned about are maps. Maps is a small picture of an area that helps the reader understand where something is located. So you can see some different map illustrations here. The next text feature you may have learned about in the 3rd grade is a diagram. A diagram is a drawing or picture that shows the parts of something or shows how it works. So if you take a look here at a drake, which is a male duck, the author has labeled all the different parts of the duck. That is a diagram. A heading is a word or short phrase that tells the topic or main idea of a section. So here, Yowie Down Under tells what this section is going to be about. Do you see how these words are in a different color? Sometimes they're highlighted, sometimes they're bolded, but they stand out at the beginning of the text and they tell what that section is going to be about. Often you'll find those headings listed on the table of contents. A table of contents is a list of each chapter or section in a book and the page it starts on. So if you take a look here at volcanoes, you can see that chapter 1 is about when the earth explodes, and you can find that chapter or that heading on page 4. Another text feature you might know about is a glossary. A glossary is a list of important words and their definitions found at the end of the text. So sometimes you will see words like we talked about in special print, either bolded or in italics, sometimes even highlighted. Those words are important to the text and the author wants you to know what they mean. So the author will often put those words in a glossary. For instance, you can see here the definition of a fossil, which is a part or print of an animal or plant that has been turned to rock. Fossils can be millions of years old. Those, again, are words that are important to the text and often in special print. The next text feature you may have learned about is an index. Like the glossary, the index can be found at the back of the book, and it's an alphabetical list of topics found in the text, located again at the end of the book. So if you take a look here, you can see that if you want to learn about ideas, you would look on page 5. If you want to learn about decomposers, you would look on pages 6, 8, and 27. So if you are researching something and you want to know what page to look on to find that topic, you look in the index. A sidebar, which you'll find in our reading today, is a box of text at the side of a page that gives extra information about the topic. So here you can see in this sidebar, it's even a different color. It's at the side of the page, and the text in here will not necessarily be connected to the text here. It'll be about the same topic, but you don't have to read this and then read this. You could start with that and then read this. A sidebar just gives extra information about a topic. Okay, those are the text features that you may have learned about in the 3rd grade that we're going to be studying over the next couple of weeks together on these videos. Okay, 3rd graders, so we're going to be reading Jump Rope Then and Now today. And taking a look at this picture, I can already see some text features that can help me make more sense about what the text is about before I even start reading. So I see the heading is Jump Rope Then and Now. That's what this whole text is going to be about. And then if I take a look down here, I can see a subheading. So this whole text will be about Jump Rope Then and Now, but this section will be about coming to America. I can predict that this part of the text is going to be about when jump rope became popular in America. Up here, I can see 2 text features. I see an illustration, which is this photograph of what appears to be some kids jump roping. And down here, I can see some text that tells me what the illustration is about. That's a caption. Double Dutch is one of the most popular ways to jump rope. So now I can predict we're going to be reading about Double Dutch. We're going to be reading about when jump rope came to America, and I think we're going to be reading about the origins or how jump rope started, and then what its role in our lives are today. So let's get started reading. You can either read along with me as I read or just track it with your eyes. Either way, please have your eyes on the screen. We're going to read in 3. 1, 2, 3. Have you ever jumped rope? It's a fun activity that kids do in schoolyards and sidewalks everywhere. Did you know that people have been jumping rope for a long, long time? In fact, the origins, that's where it began, the origins of jumping rope go back thousands of years, but it has come a long way since then. No one knows for sure when and how jumping rope started. Some say the game originated, that means began. Some say the game originated in Egypt more than 3,000 years ago when the Egyptians jumped over vines as a form of play. What we do know is that jumping rope began in ancient times and has traveled around the world. Ancient times means very, very old. Coming to America. It is believed that Dutch settlers would have come from the Netherlands. It is believed that Dutch settlers brought jumping rope to the American colonies in the 1600s. The American colonies means they were places here settled by colonialists from Europe before the United States was the United States. They were the first colonies or the first places where settlers from Europe settled in the United States, in this country that would become the United States. Some say it was the Dutch who developed a new way to jump called Double Dutch, which is one of the more popular and difficult jumping games today. In this game, 2 people hold 2 ropes, one end of each rope in each hand, and turn them in opposite directions as jumpers jump over both ropes. I have a wondering. I wonder if any of you out there have ever either jumped rope or jumped double dutch. 300 years later, in the 1940s and 1950s, jumping rope became popular with kids in America's cities. At that time, young jumpers used jump rope as a form of play. Because it required only a rope, and almost anyone could learn how to do it. Later, in the 1970s, Americans became more and more concerned with being fit and healthy. This led to an increased interest in jumping rope as a form of physical fitness. During this time, two New York City police officers, David A. Walker and Ulysses Williams, turned double dutch into a world-class sport. On February 14, 1974, nearly 600 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students participated in the first double dutch tournament ever held. So the author here is telling us all about how double dutch came to the United States. It talks about a tournament that was started by two police officers, as well as the invention of double dutch, which we believe came from the Netherlands. Third graders, on this page we're going to be learning about jumping today. On the page that we just read, we learned all about the origins, or how jump rope started, where it began, who invented it, and the origins of some different competitions. Now we're going to be learning about jumping today. Again, you can follow along with me as I read by tracking it with your eyes, or you can read right along with me. Either way, eyes on the screen on 3. 1, 2, 3. Today, jumping rope is seen as a fun way for both kids and grown-ups to play and exercise, which has resulted in the formation of many jump rope organizations and clubs. There are also special jump rope events, including some that raise money for charities. In 1978, Jean Barkow, a high school physical education teacher, that's a PE teacher, held a jump rope-a-thon, which raised $2,032 for the American Heart Association. Since then, Barkow's annual event, now called Jump Rope for Heart, has raised more than $750 million. People jump rope competitively. To jump rope competitively, that word competitively means that they compete against each other to try and win. People jump rope competitively as well. Competitive jumpers work on their speed and fancy jumping moves. In 2012, Jolene Kempeneer set a world record by jumping 204 times in 30 seconds. Interested in having some fun with your friends, getting some exercise, or enjoying some serious competition? Grab a rope and get jumping. So in this section, we learned a lot about the different competitions and the different events to raise money that people do by jumping rope. Now we have a sidebar, jump rope songs. This is indeed about the subject of jump rope, but I could read it separately from this text. That makes it a sidebar. Jump rope can include singing songs in rhythm with the jumping and rope turning. Often the words of these songs include instructions to the jumpers on how to jump and when to jump into and out of turning rope. Teddy bear, turn around. Jumper jumps in a circle. Teddy bear, touch the ground. Jumper touches the ground. Teddy bear, tie your shoe. Jumper touches his or her shoe. Teddy bear, how old are you? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The jumper continues counting out loud. The jumper jumps out when their age is called. That is a type of song that a jumper can use to give them directions as they jump. Now down here I have another text feature. It's called Important Dates in Modern Jump Rope History, which is a timeline. So this timeline tells when things happened. So we start at the beginning, which is 1970 here. And the first date we have is February 1974. The first Double Dutch tournament is held. 4 years later, in 1978, Gene Barkow holds a jump rope-a-thon at Riverside High School in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Then in 1979, the American Heart Association turned Barkow's idea into a national school event, Jump Rope for Heart. Then we're entering the 1990s. October 1995, the organization USA Jump Rope is formed to promote jumping rope as a form of exercise and competitive sport. Now we're entering the 2000s with July 2006. The FISAC IRSF World Rope Skipping Championships event is held in Toronto, Canada. In February 2007, the fourth Asian Rope Skipping Championship event is held in New Delhi, India. Then into the 2010s, starting with March 2014, Jump Rope for Heart celebrates raising more than $750 million since it was started 35 years ago. June 2014, the U.S. National Jump Rope Championship is held in Long Beach, California. So third graders, thanks for learning all about jump rope with me. What I'm going to ask you to do now is turn to the next blank page or the next space you have time and space to write. Write the words jump rope, then and now as the title of this text and write today's date, which is 4-6-20. Once you have done that, I have 3 different questions for you. The first one is, what are some reasons that jumping rope became popular in America? Now, when you're answering this, you're going to go back through the video as I read the text and find the reasons that you think jump roping became popular in America. Again, you do not have to write the whole question out. What you should do, though, is add some words from the question into your answer to make a complete sentence. For instance, you could say some of the reasons jump roping became popular in America are: 2. When and where did the U.S. National Jump Rope Championship listed on the timeline take place? To answer this question, you'll have to go back to where I was reading the timeline, which as a reminder is here. And again, you don't have to write the whole question, but do use some words in the question to help you make a complete sentence. For instance, you could say, the U.S. National Jump Rope Championship took place, and then tell us where. And number 3 says, what is the big idea the author mostly wants the reader to understand about jump rope? Use evidence. This is asking you to tell me in one sentence, what does the author mostly want you to know about jump rope? Please use some evidence to prove what you think the big idea is. Third graders, when you have these comprehension questions all finished, please go ahead and text or email to your teacher so that we can hear your great thinking. Tomorrow, we'll be coming back together with another video and further discussing the text features that can help us as nonfiction readers better understand the text. Until tomorrow, talk soon, third grade.